Dr. H. Wainhouse is the Distinguished Research Professor of Theology, Law, Culture, and Archaeology at Faith International University and Seminary in Tacoma, Washington. He and his wife, Irina, have taught and directed many tours in the Mediterranean and Middle East, including Israel, Greece, Egypt, Jordan, Italy, and Turkey, particularly with the Biblical Archaeological Society. Dr. House has taught biblical and theological studies at several universities and seminaries during a teaching career of over 50 years and has written 150 articles and 50 books, including the Evangelical Dictionary of World Religions, The Jesus Who Never Lived, Exposing False Christs and Finding the Real Jesus, the Zondervan Handbook of Biblical Archaeology, Israel, the Land and the People, an Evangelical Affirmation of God's Promises, and editor of the Nelson NKJV Study Bible and Nelson New Illustrated Bible Commentary. Dr. House is the general editor of the Evangelical Exegetical Commentary Series, 44 volumes, with Logos, Faith Life. It is the knowledge amassed from these experiences, along with the assistance of biblical scholars at a variety of universities and seminaries throughout the world, that provides the information contained in his latest project, the House Visual Study Bible Online. Thank you for joining Archaeology and the Lands of the Bible with Dr. H. Wainhouse.
Welcome and thank you for joining us. Tonight we're going to be dealing with Paul in Greece, and I have to go around. Okay, and Dr. H. Wainhouse is in the house.
Yes, he is.
and we're glad because he's going to tell us something hopefully important. All right, okay. Wayne,
I'm on now.
You are on. You're live. Well, I mean, I hope you're alive. I think you're alive.
He is.
Good to see you. I was hoping I'd see you in Houston last week when I was teaching.
I know. You were busy, I guess.
And Ruth is tuned in from the hinterlands, so it seems like the team is here.
She's by herself. There's a song, All By Myself. You heard that?
Oh, yeah.
All by myself.
We were just reminiscing.
I love it. Keep it up. Okay. I'm glad, we could make this a droll kind of, very serious kind of a thing and talk about all this archaeology. But it's good to have a laugh. Things go tough during the day and trying to put your life together. It's good to just sort of relax. And I'm enjoying doing that. We could have a program that was very, boring, but it could be just as informative to do it this way. Yep. So we're going to talk about Achaia, which is another word in the ancient, it's a term used for basically what we think of as Greece. And so we're going to start. We were up there in Athens,
mm-hmm.
and there's some really great stuff about that when you read the text of Acts. And look at Athens and think about it. Paul the Apostle was really quite a guy. He just quick on his feet. He came there, first of all, to work with, the people in the synagogue, which was his practice. And quite honestly, I wasn't even sure they had a synagogue in those days because of the nature of Athens itself. But nonetheless, apparently the text indicates that. And I've got a call coming in. It's already a person. I've got to quit that because I can't talk. I'm on the air. Bye-bye.
Nice music, though.
I tell you, they're already beating down the door to be on the program. I can't.
Wow.
What a thing. But what I was saying there, Paul, when he was there, he was among the intellectuals of the world. And he had nothing lacking. He was more than capable of dealing with them. And I did a paper years ago on apologetic strategy because you have different views on, what you do about apologetics.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul, I think in different places I observed, he's actually operated different ways according to different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always one way. And people form their little cliques where they have their views. But it's probably best to follow Paul and see how he does what he does. So, anyway, I think that was really a good study last week that we did on Athens. And we're going to have a fun time. One of my favorite places is Corinth. I've written anything else. I've done some on Athens, but mainly Corinth. And I've loved to take tours there. And I finally learned how to deal with people who are leading tours, tour guides, because I had to explain to them that I pay you,
Mhm.
and you're working for me, and so we're going to do it my way. And some people get a little upset about that, but I've been there enough. I know which way to go. And oftentimes with tour guides, they didn't show me half the stuff that I want to show the people.
Right.
It's like an in and out quick, you know.
Right.
And so I say, we're going to see everything I want to see here before we get on that bus again. And I sort of insisted on that. And people have now gotten more understanding because they've seen and we've had a chance to talk about more. So,
Well, and another thing I noticed that tour guides really like to do is they somehow think you have to go visit every single church that's ever been built in that area.
Hmm.
I don't care about every single church.
no, not every church is worth it. There are some that are.
Yeah, right.
In Istanbul, we're going to visit Hagia Sophia, which was the major church of the ancient Christian world, you know. And of course, when the Muslims finally defeated Constantinople and changed it to Istanbul, they made that a mosque. Ataturk, when the beginning of the 20th century, he sought to make Turkey not a Muslim country, but a secular country
Mhm.
that had Muslims. And you largely still have that, except a little bit more than normal in Istanbul than what you see elsewhere. But generally speaking, it's still more of a secular country. But he took it over, and he put all the generals who had a military position in the jail immediately without a trial, and they're still there.
What?
He did not want because before there were attempts to do what he did,
Mhm.
but the military came in and took it out, and so he preempted them on this thing. And that's
Gotcha.
you still, when you go on the streets of Izmir and most places, you don't see women wrapped up in, you know, from head to toe and
Mm.
stuff. You don't see a lot of stuff you see in places like places I've seen, like in Cairo, even.
Mm.
So anyway, it's a good area. Greece, as we've been looking at, we're going to do Corinth tonight. We will probably look at it if we can a little bit in Delphi, and then we will where Apollo's oracle was, the oracle of, you know, you're familiar with that. And then we may end up getting into Thessaloniki, possibly. We'll have to see, because there's some pretty cool stuff about Thessalonians and the issue of Thessaloniki, but it really never. It really doesn't have much to talk about. There's not a lot of archaeology there. You have to get to Philippi to begin to do that. Anyway, that's an overlook, and so I just want to get that out. And so are you prepared, Don, for us to go and look at Corinth?
Well, I believe I am. I'm just trying to figure out why that's not coming up.
If not, I'll have to use hand signals.
Pardon?
Hand signals, you know.
Okay, I'm going to have to back out of there a second. Let me go back here for a moment.
Well, let me keep my routine going then.
I got to figure out what I'm not doing. Oh, I know what I'm not doing right.
There
I
he
gotta
goes.
Go to here.
Not pushing a button.
And here and here. And then there we go.
There.
How about that?
Hey, there we go.
Corinth.
Here I come to save the day. Oh yeah, wrong show.
Underdog is here.
Oh, I tell you, whoever did these slides really blew it, because it should say biblical archaeology of the early church. Anyway, let's open it to the first. No, don't, you went too fast. Go to the first one now, just one at a time.
So you want this one here, Corinth, or you want the next one?
That's the tell us where we are. Now go a slide. There we are. There we go. What you're looking at is sort of interesting, because this particular canal that was built here took centuries to get done. It was actually only done finally, I think, around the beginning of the 20th century. But they were digging it in the days of Nero. So
Gee whiz.
it took a long time. But when you stand here on this bridge and look at this, you know, it is very high, because you can have a ship. This is where ships went back and forth, you know, like we have in the Panama Canal and things like that.
Right.
And this is a very, very high area and a lot of digging. You also had to get to modern times when you had instruments that you could do it better with, because they just couldn't seem to get the thing built. But that's very close to Corinth, or what was sometimes called Acrocorinth. So let's move on. That's just a few miles away. Now, what you're observing there is, and feel free to ask me questions, But what you're doing there, you're looking at the Temple of Apollo in considerable disarray. There's not much there anymore like there used to be.
Yeah.
But then you have what is called Acro Corinth, and you already know what that means. What does acro mean?
Hi.
High. Yes, high.
Hi there.
Hey.
No, this is not H-I. It's H-I-G-H.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're there, you're inside Corinth, and that's sort of the fence there. We won't go into all that. But if you want to see Acro Corinth, you actually have to take out of Corinth itself and drive all the way around till you get on the far side of that mountain, and you actually have a pathway that you can drive up to the almost to the gate, to the doors of opening ancient Corinth there.
Huh.
And there's several things there. I have shots at different places. I'm not sure if I have them on here, but you will see one probably on my study Bible that I'm sure all of you are subscribed to already. But the that's where they had the temple to the sexual goddess. Let's just put it that way, because the fact is that's clarity. This is why Paul actually had to reprimand the Corinthians who had come to Christ. That you don't go there and get involved in that up there on the top of Acro Corinth. This is also very close to where sailors came in, and they got on the land, and they also visited church. So it's a strange setup up there. The Greek world was very licentious in that way. They were not very conservative, not like the Jews. And so, but Acro Corinth was up there. Excuse me, Acro Corinth had the temple to Venus, if we'll use that term, or Aphrodite. They also had some other buildings up there, but they pretty well in disarray over the years. But it's a great, great view. So we're looking up. We're going to go on, and I'll come back to that later. If you have any questions, be sure and ask. Again, this is another angle of the shot of the Temple of Apollo. Can anybody tell me who Apollo was? I know, I'll give you a hint. He's a Greek god.
Yeah. He was believed to be the sun god, right? Or something like that. Or that he carried, what was it? When the sun was out, they thought that was the god Apollo that was.
Well, they may have. I don't remember that.
Chariots.
That could be true.
The chariots were driving across the sky.
I don't remember that specifically.
He drove a chariot that was the sun. He was also the god of prophecy and music, amongst other things like medicine.
The latter is what I was going to get into. I really haven't thought so much as a sun god, but I guess that's true. But the fact is, from that religion of Apollo and the combination of the religion of Dionysianism, which we'll talk about, came the kind of phenomena that we observe at Corinth after Paul had brought them to Christ, because they became very experiential and very outlandish is not the word I want, but they became very given over to high experiential aspects of worship.
Yeah,
and like to drink a lot and get drunk, and also also worship as they were doing that.
Kind of like a hypersensuality kind of deal.
It's and I'm not saying, Paul would, if you read 1 Corinthians particularly, but also 2nd, but mainly 1st, you'll find out that Paul had a lot of problems to deal with the Corinthian church.
Oh yeah.
He had issues of a guy living with his
father's wife, I think.
Father's wife. You'd think they'd say his mother, but maybe it's
mother-in-law.
Another little situation.
Stepmother, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But on the other hand, that was totally unacceptable in the church. And yes, that wasn't a big deal necessarily in Greek society. Again, Greek society was somewhat lascivious.
It might have been somewhat of a deal even in Greek society, because Paul says even the pagans don't do this.
Not like him. Yeah, the father's wife thing, you're correct. But they were given over to sensuality of all sorts, including what they did in religion.
Right.
So, they were a handle. Paul had more difficulty probably with Corinth than he just about anybody. But there's a lot of fascinating things about what went on in First Corinthians. If you want to read an article I did on tongues and the mystery religions of Corinth years ago. I think I did that with Bibliotheca Sacra. You could pick it up. But I dealt with the questions that how do you understand the nature of the ecstatic experience at Corinth as a representation of Dionysianism and Apollinism over against what was actually found in, let's say, like we find Paul talking about a legitimate usage of it. Knowledge is a legitimate usage at that time period. But this also occurred at Pentecost, remember? And so I think that what we see at Corinth, though, is that really an example of what Paul is talking about, or is it something that's just simply ecstaticism? What do you think?
Well,
what do we think about? I am confused on the question. So,
okay, let me go say it again. When you deal with the issue of ecstaticism in the church, as we see in First Corinthians, and I'm going to talk about that book and chapter to you. Again, you can go read my journal article on that years ago. By the way, when I gave that paper at ETS, who was that? He's a well-known scholar today, but he told me I didn't know what I was talking about.
Jeez.
This is my first paper at ETS national meeting, and the guy, he's Don somebody. He's I think he taught at Trinity, but he's written a lot. But he basically stood up and told me that I was clueless on what I was talking about, and that's what hit me as a young scholar going to his first meeting.
Sure.
And fortunately, I had 2 or 3 other very fine scholars stand up and tell me he didn't know what he was talking about. After that, I sort of felt pretty good. I just continued what I was saying then.
Sure. There you go.
Isn't that amazing?
That's crazy.
But, you don't do that to a person. It just shocked me.
No.
But we're going to get into First Corinthians a little bit, but let's move past that. We'll get back to the fact that the religion of Apollo and the religion of Dionysianism, Bacchus, the god of wine and so forth, were the 2 major deities connected to what we're seeing at Corinth. Go on.
Okay. So because they were getting drunk instead of sharing with one another.
Yeah, they left their, the women in Dionysianism would oftentimes, let their hair down, and they would dance around, and they would be basically very sexual in their activity, in their active. I shouldn't say it that way. And their attitude and way they dealt with things, and then they oftentimes that religion it was very sensual in nature.
Right.
Yeah, these were the original party people. No, and if you look at the society, look at Burning Man. How much different is Burning Man than what we're describing right now in ancient
Very
Greece?
similar. Very similar.
So
in a way, they're right with the staticism thing that nothing really does change.
Yeah.
Things
Nothing
change
new under the
for
sun.
They've changed back.
Not much.
Right.
Well, people, can make any number of excuses for things, and of course, the Corinthians, Paul was talking about the fact that if you're going to talk the way you're doing, people come in among you, visiting the local church. You walk in the door, and the people are acting like a bunch of idiots, and they says, they're going to think you're all drunk, and of course, they might have been. So, but if they come in and you're speaking appropriately, then they'll think that God's among you, and so that's what Paul was seeking for. Can you imagine an apostle trying to deal with that church and trying to get it under some kind of structure that made it work? Faber, I don't think you would enjoy that church.
That would be a challenge.
And so that's what happened there. But again, when you realize that the religion of Apollo, as it's found there, also is expressed with the oracle at Delphi.
Ah, well, okay.
We're going to go to Delphi and look at it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But it was a viewpoint given over to strange things. The oracle at Delphi, for example, would speak in tongues of some sort.
Right.
And he was in a chamber that they've located, by the way. We'll talk about that.
wasn't she poisoned?
She what?
But weren't the oracles poisoned by the noxious gases that were coming out of the earth?
Yes.
Yep.
that's what they found out later when people have studied the place. They found it actually had something that came up from the earth, like gas, that actually made her high.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
So she would just speak in all these languages that are not real languages, but she sounded like it.
Right.
And you had a prophet who was there, who would actually, there was actually a hole inside the room that went into there, and he could listen to her, and then he would interpret her language for the guy who paid money to get the fortune told. And they could always, I've got a battle we're going to be going into. Who am I going to be okay? We're going to win. Oh yeah, give me $50.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm serious. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or Dr. House, they would cover their bets and say, well, you're going to win in some ways, but you're going to lose in others.
Oh, there you go.
Those kinds of things.
That would be a good way to do it today. For sure.
They did. I mean,
they still do.
Did they do that? Okay.
Yeah, well,
they would give these cryptic answers that were sort of like a horoscope,
Okay.
kind of like today.
It was all about the friends we made along the way.
Absolutely.
Well, I can believe in that for sure. But you had the priest there. You had the oracle, and people came from all over the world to get advice. Can you imagine what people will do to try to get information like that?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the religion of Apollo that the Oracle of Delphi was involved in. Just keep that perspective. So we'll get back in a minute. We'll talk at Corinth. Corinth is also a place that there was a division that went on, because you had a more conservative element and a very leftist kind of weird element. It just went different ways with people going, and it became very difficult to have any church service in any sense, and influence was very minimal. Right down from where we think the church was, by the way, the text seems to indicate that you had a synagogue next to wherever the church was meeting, and they have located where they believe the synagogue was now.
Wow.
So you can get an approximate understanding if you were standing there on the road, one of the roads that go through the Roman Empire goes right through Corinth there, and you can get an idea about where the church was. But remember, the church started as a synagogal kind of approach when Paul went there, because it takes a while to bring in the pagans. It took seriously. He attracted people that would listen to what he's saying because he's preaching from the scripture, but gradually you have people joining with them who are attracted by certain aspects of Judaism, but on the other hand, many others who were basically into these pagan religions that we just talked about.
Sure.
So this what you're looking behind me is Philippi, and we're going to be looking at some pictures of Corinth. One thing I'm going to do is talk about Asclepianism. Does anybody know what I mean?
Asclepia was the god of health, right? The
god of healing. Yes, god of health.
The snake and all that business.
Right. When you see the little snake in the pole and so forth, that's the doctor. That goes all the way back. Matter of fact, if you go to Asclepius, which when you stand there, you can actually see on the side of the mountain the great theater at Pergamum. And to the right of that would have been the altar to Zeus. You can see all that from the Asclepius. So that's a major headquarters of Asclepianism. One of my major problems with all of that is the fact that you have something not as grandiose, but you have something in Jerusalem, right inside the ancient city, that is a local, has a local altar and also a building. It's not there anymore. It wasn't that big, but nonetheless, to the god Asclepius. And you're wondering, what's that doing in Jerusalem? And that gives rise to the thing that the guy wanted to be healed and put in the water. And I think I told you last time that in Asclepian religion, we're going to get to that, but in that religion, water was important for healing. But that was also true in other things in the ancient world. In other words, water was important. So we're sort of giving an overview. This is Corinth. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
We'll start moving through some of these here. That's just a small group that I had. I think that's the group I had with the Biblical Archaeological Society, because we started in the bottom of Greece, went all the way to the top of Greece and Philippi, and all the way across Greece, and all the way through Turkey. It's really quite a long trip, and that's a trip. I think there's Arena. She was even there. There we are.
Oh yeah.
Okay, keep going. Yes, no, there's that again. You've seen that. We'll move on.
Oh, you seen that tree? Okay.
That right there is the place they used to have the temple to the god Aphrodite. And, Venus.
Sure.
And so if you'll see that door to the left, that actually is an entrance. I went in there, and there's 3 levels to that, because it started out as that temple. It went into ruins, and then it became a church. And then finally it's at this level right here later on. So that's looking at the very top. You're at the very top of the mountain right there looking over.
Yeah, nice.
Continue.
Next.
Now, what you're seeing is what if you were standing where that building was we just looked at, or anywhere on the mountainside you would see there. So we can sort of point out some stuff here. I can't use my my little pointer here, but it if you'll look to the road, you see that road that goes through.
This one here.
No.
Not that one. The one down, next one down.
There's one here. There's one here.
There's another one there. If you look
In the middle, right?
Go up.
In the middle. Okay, this one here.
There you are. Yeah, and that is an important thoroughfare that used to go through that city and also through the Roman world. And so what you have is other buildings up there to look at, and we'll take a look at some of them. To the right, you had basically another small temple, it looks like. To the left, you see what we saw earlier, the temple to the god Apollo. And we're going to see some things to the left of that. We're going to look around the area a little bit, but that gives you a feel for, you have an archaeological site in the middle of people living.
Wow. Yeah.
And all those people are around this site, and so they see it every day. But it's one of the prize areas, because there's a lot of stuff there besides what we're looking at that are off to the right corner there and off to the left, and we'll examine them.
So what is this here? Is this anything or?
Well, as far as I can tell, it's the way they have the columns is probably some form of a religious building, probably more like a temple to Apollo when small.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Going back to what you were talking about in Jerusalem, how they had a small altar to the god of healing, Asclepius.
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 I was thinking about the pool of Bethesda. Bethesda. Does that have any tie to paganism?
No, the pool of Bethesda is not.
No.
No, not per se. But we will probably do Jerusalem sometime, and I can show you. I don't think we showed that already. When you're standing there, it's sort of hard to get yourself into it, because you've had 2,000 years up. And so you're actually at a high point, even though what you're actually seeing, the Bible talks about, is you're looking straight down to where the water used to be and where the stairs used to be.
Interesting.
That's about 30 feet below you.
Nice.
So it's sort of strange to get into that archaeologically. You've got to dig in all the topsoil that's developed over 2,000 years, and then you would be down below. But the thing we're talking about with the site for Asclepius is actually high on the thing. It's actually built up high. So if you had been in the days of Jesus, you would have had the water and the pool below, but up higher in, you had an area of a small building was for the worship of Asclepius, apparently. I mean, why would it be there? Except for the fact, I mean, it's actually written in Greek. You can see it on the various stones they have there. But with the idea of Asclepianism, it was so pervasive through the empire that when Antiochus Epiphanes, who was he?
He didn't. He
desecrated the temple.
pig. And
Yeah.
the,
Yes, he did. He came in. There was a guy by the name of Matthias. Hasmonean.
The revolt.
He had a son called Judas Maccabeus.
yeah.
But his name was actually Judas Hasmonean.
Oh boy.
But he was called Maccabeus because that word means the hammer.
Kaboom.
So they called him a nickname, Judas the one who hammers. And what he did, he hammered the Greek army that lived there.
I bet he did.
And he invented warfare that you don't get on the. I've always wondered why they did that during the Revolutionary War in America. When you walk out in the open, let people shoot at you.
Yeah.
No, it makes no sense.
I get behind a tree or
Sure.
Right.
But Judas, what he did, he fought the Greeks on different terms.
Mm.
And as they were doing their little marches, because remember the method of what Alexander the Great brought in. Remember, Alexander the Great came in. He came into Israel and everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't have major problems. He came down to Greece, into Egypt the same way. He took over Asia Minor. He came across and went all the way to India and died there.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have a choice of leadership. So you had the 4 generals that worked with him all became leaders of countries.
Right.
Antiochus, he came back. He controlled Syria and what we call Israel today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another guy by the name of Ptolemy was in
Egypt.
Egypt. That's where we're at. Now, Antiochus, he was a pagan of first rank.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came down and actually sacrificed a pig on the altar. Now, that's very, very offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Any Jew that had any sort of Jewish in his blood. And what happened is that Matthias Hasmonean rebelled against that, and his son then became the leader of a rebellion group against him. And what they did when the Greeks would come out, Alexander had the phalanx. You've seen the phalanx what the Romans have, where they all have shields here and they have shield in front. You know, they all march together and they're like a big tank moving.
Yeah. Your protection all around. Yeah.
Sometimes they had it above it where people shot arrows. They just put their shields up.
Yes.
Around. There's a very good method, I suppose, if people are going to fight that way.
Sure.
But what Judas did, he hit over like mountains as people came through and pushed down boulders and shot them and threw spears. And they were pretty safe as far as being hurt.
Right.
He didn't come out and play.
Right.
He did it another way, and he won that way.
Yeah. That's like ancient guerrilla warfare, basically.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he won that one. So the point of it is that's the story, and Judas took over. And of course, you begin to move into the Hasmonean group, who began to be the Jewish leadership in Israel, the Hasmoneans.
Yes.
It's from the Hasmoneans came then the temple worship eventually. Okay, so that's your breakdown there.
And Dr. House, wasn't that also the origin of the Herod kings? They were
yes, except that you're thinking of Herod the Great was the first, and he was half Jewish and half Edomite.
But wasn't he from the Hasmonean line?
He was actually, I don't know that exactly, except that he actually, he would have had to have some. See, the Hasmonean line didn't continue as bloodlines; it became a rulership line. Like Republican and Democrat or something.
Kind of like a dynasty, sort of, or something.
Yeah, so it wasn't really the bloodline. That started that way, but it didn't end that way. So, but Herod the Great, he had people always were after him, and of course they got they did, but because he was connected to where the Edomites were. Okay, that Obadiah talks about. Now, so when I think about this issue of why do you have the Asclepius there, Asclepius is the name of the god, Asclepion is the name of the place of the god. Why would he be there? I guess you still had, because the Romans came in later, and they controlled Jerusalem largely. that they probably allowed that in there, and the Jews really probably couldn't have removed it.
Sure.
So I'm thinking, why would they let that stay? Now, let me go back to the question with Jerusalem just real quick, since MJ, I think, or maybe it was
Krista.
Yeah, it was the whole issue of Bethsaida is there where that is, and but you also have the other that's at the bottom of the city of David. What was that?
Siloam or something, right?
Shiloh or
Siloam, yes, Siloam.
Yeah. Siloam.
Siloam, that's at the bottom, and that's more important probably in Jewish thought than the pool of Bethsaida. And that's where Jesus performed a miracle.
Right.
But also Jesus performed a miracle at the pool of Siloam.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that's most important about Siloam is, where did the water get into Siloam from?
From underneath the city of Jerusalem.
Correct. And what was it that happened? Who did it? Some king.
Oh, Hezekiah.
Hezekiah's tunnel.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. And why did Hezekiah do that? There's a reason he went to this trouble.
Well, he's trying to create a water source for the old city, right?
Well, he was under siege.
Yeah, under siege.
Right.
He saw the siege coming.
Yes,
It didn't come immediate.
Right.
Because the Assyrians did something different.
Mm-hmm.
They actually started and they went to the smaller communities throughout Israel, finally even down toward the Negev area and across. They came to the next largest city to Jerusalem, which was called Lachish, and they stormed that and won that. And once they had basically controlled all of Israel, they came to the city of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last place, that's the stronghold.
Right.
So they've got everybody else taken care of. Okay? Now, because you don't want somebody to come from the back, by the way, to attack you.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the strategy you have to move away from. Is you have to be sure that you have all your sides, protected.
Sure.
Now, when the guys get up to Hezekiah and the city of Jerusalem, what's amazing about them is that they're getting ready to try to take over the city, and of course they're trying to make it so that people don't have food and water, and that way you can sort of run the people out and they'll give up. But Hezekiah anticipated that. He also built another wall. But one thing he participated was that he built a tunnel that connected to an underground stream. That's why you have Hezekiah's tunnel.
Right.
That actually came into the pool of Siloam also.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, that became a place that Solomon was declared king also. There's a different things there. That's a person who was blind was healed there. So that's the pool of Siloam. Let's see. So when you think of Jerusalem again, just to finish my little talk off there, they were mocking the Jews and they didn't give in. One night, 185,000 Assyrian soldiers were killed by an angel.
Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine waking up the next morning as a king, and he says, "Okay, guys, let's go get them."
Yeah. Who's going to be there? Yeah.
And he's out there by himself.
Pretty much, yeah.
And when they've actually found inside the temple at Assyria, Nineveh, they found inside the temple, they found a statement that he locked up Hezekiah like a bird in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was trying to make it look good that I went in there and I
Got him.
surrounded him and I wouldn't let him out.
Mm.
And so that's sort of pretty poor. Okay, let's keep moving forward and bring the next slide. Now let's look at that. Oh no, go back. Let's get some perspective. Go back.
Go back.
Yeah,
Yep.
one. You went too far. Okay, so keep your eye on the fact you got to get perspective. Keep your eye on the fact you've got the road that goes through that I pointed out to the if let's say that is maybe east. If I'm looking this way, it's east. That's over there, away from that tree, that big tree at the front, is where you probably have the synagogue in that area.
Mm.
Either that or it's down there where that other building is. And so they think it's right there in the corner area somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go up and down that road, you'll find there's a lot of little shops that nobody inhabits them, you realize, but they were inhabited. And they did find some tools that were used by people who were tent makers.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that has to be Aquila and Priscilla's thing,
Right.
but it does fit the bill. They were in Corinth, they were working that area, and Paul worked with them in that.
Right.
So that's a possibility.
Hmm.
Now, as you move away from that, we're going to see the Bema seat, some of those other things. So give me another slide.
No, another slide coming up.
There you go.
Okay, now that just shows you the reason I brought that one in. I just wanted you to see the sea.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, to see the sea. Okay.
Yes.
For sure.
A sight to see.
It's better than salted. Now,
Is Sally picking up seashells at the seashore in this?
I'm not going there.
Sea?
I'm not going there. If you look, you can see the side of the Aqua Corinth, and
Yeah.
you see the angle. If you look real carefully at the bottom right portion of that slide, and you go up a little bit, that's the area. No, you're too far left. Go up to the right.
Go left, go right.
You go right from where you get your. Now go up a little bit. Go to the left a little bit. You're going
To the left, to the left.
There.
to the bottom of that area right there. I'm pointing at. That's the area that we have ancient Corinth. Just to give you perspective.
Oh, that was okay. That's that patch we just saw.
It's where all those ruins are.
Yeah. I see.
Oh, this area right here is where we
That's
were.
correct.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay.
Next. Now, anybody tell me what that is? It's in every Greek city.
It's a bath.
Public bath.
Public bath.
Public.
And so people would come there and they would bathe. I guess they didn't have showers and bathtubs at home,
Guess not.
but they would come down, and you see this. We're going to see, for example, in Turkey, we saw the same kind of thing where you had a public bath. Now, I know I take you back. That was Sardis we saw. So this right here gives you an idea. Now, if you look at the columns, and none of those are very good examples, but I hope I have a picture. You have three forms of columns in the ancient world. One is called Corinthian.
Yep.
You can figure what that's named after.
Sure.
Corinth, we got that one down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's flowery at the top, very ornate. And that's a later stage of column. That's a later stage. Then they have two others. One was called
Doric.
Doric, very good. That's the simplest. That's just basically a column with a top that's not very ornate. It is, it's sort of it's just sort of plain like.
Very simple. Mm-hmm.
But then you have the next one that's also named after a Greek area in ancient Achaia called Ionic, and it has some in other words, it's between the Corinthian very, very ornate to the very plain Doric. It's in the middle. It's growing toward the Corinthian, so to speak. Okay. So even in the ancient world, so you have trends and ways in which people do things differently. And that helps you to identify time periods.
Sure.
And so forth when you have that. Next, you notice the around the area, these are not pools to swim in. No, I mean, seriously, it's not a swim.
Yeah, I wouldn't swim in there.
It's really a pool. You can tell it's really a pool for a bath. And it's a public bath. Now, did men and women both come to this? I do not know. I remember we talked about the restrooms.
Right.
There's fairly good evidence that it was, open restrooms for everybody, and I can't imagine that. But nonetheless, that's the way they did it.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't know if the public baths are that way. I do know obviously the men were here, but I haven't seen anything that told me otherwise. And of course, it looks like they have little changing areas in the back. I don't know what all that is, but the whole thing.
That's interesting. I don't see why they would change if they're so used to being
somewhere to put your clothes, probably
free shows in there.
The Greeks were not very modest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so I don't know what to tell you about that. That's just
it. Just to me, it seems kind of a oxymoron.
It is odd to us.
Yeah, an oxymoron.
It's a big deal, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't want to continue on that one. Let's keep going.
Well, in their Olympics, didn't they also run
Yeah.
their races and stuff naked?
They did race in the nude.
Birthday
Yeah.
suits. Yeah.
And by the way, one of the problems that occurred in Israel when Antiochus Epiphanes was the king of that area is that they had so much influence that you had young Jewish boys who basically ran in the Olympic or in the races of that period.
Mm.
They raced in the nude, just like they developed a lot of the Greek practices,
Sure.
and they also stopped circumcision and other such things. It was
Oh. Woohoo. That's a cool music.
there. I turned it off. You can tell my wife it wasn't because I was mad.
That'll
Oh.
show them.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there you have the public bath. So, it was used in every Greek city. You found certain things, restrooms, like I've talked about. You found baths like this, and you also found one other thing everywhere. What was it?
Toilets.
I've already talked about restrooms, toilets.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
right.
Yeah.
What's the third thing that's found every Greek city?
Okay.
Well,
so-
there are marketplaces, markets.
Well, that's a good example. That's a fourth area. Okay, what's a fifth one? Trying to move you to what I want.
Temples.
You find temples. That's 5. Now let's move to number 6.
Oh, number 6. Keep going.
Amphitheaters.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
Theaters. All Greek cities had
Theaters, right.
They loved plays.
They sure did.
And you know who you can't say movie stars. Who the theater stars were?
The
The
slaves.
slaves.
Slaves. Can you imagine? We should try that today.
Oh, I don't think it would go well.
And we put the people doing the movies. There are people that are not so high and mighty,
Yeah.
running out.
SAG-AFTRA would have a fit.
Yeah.
And somehow think that because they can read a script, they're smart.
Yeah.
They could read scripts in those days. So,
Ah,
Exactly. Yeah.
but there's something fascinating about theaters if you go to them, Greek theaters, and they're all about the same. Whether you're talking about Ephesus or anywhere else, they tend to have a place toward the beginning where they did the acting and talking. They could be heard all the way through the theater without any kind of microphones or anything. They have microphones. So how can they be heard? And when you did their parts, because you have this tremendous, you just barely talk and you can hear all over this theater.
Great acoustics.
Yeah, acoustics is where I wanted to
awesome.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, great acoustics. I stood there on one of these and I could hear the sound go up and down from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people out there, some in the tour, they also could hear the sound without trouble, just talking.
Dr. House, I've stood in the one in Ephesus and whispered, and people in the top could hear me, and they're back hundreds of feet away.
Yeah, it's that way.
It's just
Matter of fact,
astonishing.
There's another experience, and that is I had some students do this. They also, some of them, not all of them I saw, but some of them had a round and quite depth. I don't know what it was used for with this, but it was a round piece of cutout in the stone all the way around the bottom of the theater area that you would go into. And there would be several places around, and you can actually get into that. And I had students to do it on the far. And they could be hearing. The sound would move all the way through that stone, all the way on the other side.
Like some kind of funnel.
Yeah, it's crazy because they had ways in which to accomplish their task they wanted to do.
I think that's pretty cool. I mean, in Chicago, there you go to the Museum of Science and Industry, and there's a room where they deal with acoustics, and you can from one end to the other side of the room, and they have these the specific cone-shaped things, domes that you could step into, and you're facing it, and you just whisper like he said, and the person all the way on the other end can hear exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So they discovered this particular how sound travels, and they used it very well to their advantage.
Just a second.
So that's awesome.
Irina, my wife, she went to pick up a person who's going on the tour we're doing. She went to Houston to get them.
Oh,
And she sent me a note about answering. So I'm going to say I am on air. Okay.
got another 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, we're good. Now, let's keep moving.
Moving on up.
Okay, that's a good shot. Another shot. Now, to the left, then, is where you have the Temple of Apollo.
Mhm.
That's the major Roman city that went through. To the left over there is where probably is. I think that's the most likely where they think the synagogue was. And there's a big sign there in the museum at Corinth about the synagogue of the Jews. It says. And then those little buildings on the left, you can see those are the little shops I was talking about.
Mm.
So
Sure.
it's pretty bad, disrepair.
Sure.
But you can see a lot of stuff there in Corinth. Keep going.
Next. There we go. Oops.
Oh, Seneca. Ever heard of him?
Seneca.
Yes.
Familiar.
Mm.
What was he, a god?
No, it says right here is a Stoic philosopher,
Yeah.
older brother of
Please.
Gallio, proconsul of Achaia.
I tell you, Don, being on your other program sometime and you being able to catch that makes me proud of you.
Yep. Well,
No.
that's just because I can read what you printed up here. So
Well, I thought I'd make it easy. Normally, I wouldn't expect you to know who some of these people are, but anyway, there you have it. And Gallio, who was a proconsul, and Gallio is very important because he's connected to the trial of Paul at that point. He got off,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Seneca was, in fact, the Stoic philosopher.
all right. So you have this little red box here outlining some Greek text.
Yes, trying to help you to understand the Greek a little bit. That C is actually a sigma for our purposes. That's a capital.
Mhm.
And then epsilon nu, epsilon kappa alpha. Seneca. Okay.
Yep.
Continue moving.
Continue reading.
Next slide.
I want to get you through Corinth at least. Okay, next slide.
I can go to slides. I can't read Greek. I can barely read English. So
There you go.
Can
Bema
you read that one, Don?
pardon. Bema seat.
Very good. So you're growing in your knowledge.
There you go.
And I'll be giving a diploma out soon.
All right.
Now, if you recognize the
So
Bema
is that where they make the toilet seats at? No,
It's a different company.
a different company. Okay.
Yeah.
we're done with that one. Okay. The Bema seat is fairly disrepair, but you can figure it out. Obviously, that sign was not there in the days of Paul.
Right.
But nonetheless, this is the place of judgment.
Ooh.
The Bema seat, the judgment seat.
I see.
And the original seat would have been Gallio would have been high on that, sitting in a chair probably on top of that structure. You see, this is old. I mean, it's archaeology, old things. When it was, I'm sure if you'd been there in Paul's day, it would have looked very nice and
Sure.
very
well kept.
we have today. I think the next shot though shows you the thing they actually put they tied them to when they were going through judgment. There's a place of chains. I think I have that there, don't I?
Well, let's see.
That's a better look at the Bema seat, at least the name.
Yeah.
Try another. I thought I put it in here. Oh, there I am. Well, anyway,
There you are, getting ready to mount onto the Bema seat. I think.
that's right. And I was telling people to read Greek above me there. Okay. There's what I'm looking for. This is the pole. Actually, if you look at it carefully, you can see there's a place for chains to go through it, so that Paul would have been, during this time of trial, he would have been chained into that particular place where he could move away. And of course, you have the governor up there above and the people around. And what is happening is that they're trying to get Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the story of that at all?
They were always trying to get Paul. Poor Paul.
Yeah. Well, it was the Jews who were actually after him here,
Oh.
because he didn't like the fact that what Paul was doing in Corinth, not only talking to Jews, but he also was trying to attract Gentiles,
Right.
which they would have considered to be anathema,
Oh yeah,
that term.
they did not like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's what you had. That would have been the original place, probably.
Oh,
Now, this is important for a reason why, though I look through a mirror dimly, I want you to look
yes.
at the ancient mirrors are different than ours.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, that's important for looking at that passage in the book of First
Mhm.
Corinthians to understand what a mirror looked like in this time period.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of varieties of this, but they're all about that way. They're not quite as like they would be new, you realize, as far as
Sure.
but nonetheless, they didn't have glass. When we look
Right.
at it, where we actually see us, I mean, you know, what we look like. And I can understand when Paul says, and now we look through a mirror dimly. That is, when they looked at mirrors, they did not get a true and complete representation of what they actually looked like. It was a portion of what they looked like.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I put that here, because Paul talks about that. He
Nice.
said, now we look through a mirror dimly, but then
Face
face
to
to
face.
Face to
now I
face.
know in part, but then
I
I
will
will
know.
know as I am known. You know the passage.
Yes.
And Paul, when he talks about the fact of understanding God's desires and God's direction, Paul saw it as something that would be fully understood because of what we see later in our life.
Yeah, I shall know fully as I have been known.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are little bitty moles, and you can see what they do,
Mm-hmm.
right? You see on the right and on the left how that works.
Right.
Okay, you'd put something in there that would basically, like a clay or something similar to that, that would be a paste of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
You would create these little idols. This is all in the museum at Corinth there.
Nice.
Now we're getting to Asclepius.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are those ears?
How did you guess? I didn't have a chance to tell you.
Oh.
No, they're not. What they are is they go back to the days of the early it says 4th century BC.
Hmm.
And Asclepius has ran a long time. Paul's in the 1st century AD.
Right.
So these are several hundred years before that time. But even in the days of Paul, they did the same thing. This went on for hundreds of years. If you had something wrong with a part of your body, you would make a cast.
Mm.
That would be the votive offering that you would offer to the god Asclepius.
Okay, so these probably are casts of ears.
Right.
So dedication of body parts, offerings to Asclepius, 4th century BC.
For Christ.
Wow.
And so it said it's from the Asclepian.
Yeah.
The Asclepian's actually in Pergamum.
Mm.
So when whoever said, friends and fellow countrymen, lend me yours, this is not what he was talking about, right?
Not unless I'm talking about you, Don. Okay, let's.
Okay.
There you
this
go.
is what I want to show you. And by the way,
Oh.
I want you to know something. To take this picture, I had to be very selective where I shot it.
Sure. Of course. I
Yeah.
bet.
And
I
I
bet.
don't say any more than that. You can figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
Right. There's other body parts that you don't necessarily
I
want in this
purposely
photo.
did not
Yeah.
take a picture of the whole group.
There you
Yeah,
go.
right, yeah.
But the fact is that if you had legs and other body parts that were having difficulty, arms, ears, I'm sure even eyes, everything you can imagine,
Oh, Lordy.
the problem, you would make a cast that then would be the offering before the god for healing her.
Mm.
Now I can't.
Do you need a hand?
Huh?
Do you need a hand?
If you need a hand, there you go. Sure do.
Hands and everything you can imagine. Tongue.
Well, they seem to be armed and dangerous here.
They sure are.
The question I have about these things is it must have worked once in a while, or why would they keep doing it, right?
Well,
Well,
May I make a comment?
Of course.
it's- Yeah,
So when I've been through that museum, and what Dr. House isn't showing by this photo, it's really, really interesting where their minds were. I would say 70 to 80% were sexual body parts. And
Sure.
And it kind of blew my mind because it really made the chapters of First and Second Corinthians make a lot more sense. These people were really into pleasure. They were into the body. They were into sensuality.
Yes.
I
Sure.
mean, it was
Yes.
about as wild as it could get, at that time. And
Sure.
and I just thought it was amazing. Isn't that right, Dr. House? There was like, I would say over half of all of the things in there had to do with the sexual.
There's a lot of sexuality in here.
Yeah, a huge amount. Huge.
I didn't make it obvious.
That's
Well,
okay.
I'm just saying, so those
Right.
you don't see
Well,
it in this.
Right. We have really I have been arguing for 30 years now that the time we live in now is more like the first century than any time in between.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think our view of sexuality as a culture is mirroring almost what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
And,
I would agree, Don, very much
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
That's
It's reached.
progress for sure.
Yeah. Well.
Doesn't mean
It was so much. It was astonishing to me.
it doesn't mean you're smarter.
Yeah, so the evidence for the need for healing from STDs or whatever just lends credence to the type of culture.
Absolutely, that's
Sure.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything under the sun that we see now, it's probably.
Well, I wonder how many more slides we have in Corinth, but
I don't know, but you have this
Oh.
one.
Somebody's missing a finger.
this is closer, and you can see me there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that where they
And you
gave
can
him
see
the
the person to the left there. There's actually the person that Arena is picking up at the airport.
Oh, the one taking the picture?
Oh, this person over here,
Oh.
Yeah.
and this person over here is Wayne, right?
That's me on occasion. Now, continue on. I need to move.
We can see him through the glass darkly. That's the
Yeah, that's right.
Continue. Okay. So there's a Corinthian capital, just to give you an idea. Keep moving, and I'm going to try to finish this in the next
Oh, nice.
couple minutes because Arena's at the airport wanting help or something.
okay.
You have a Corinthian at the top. I just want to show you what it looks like. Continue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is the candelabra, a menorah. Remember they call those menorahs?
Yep.
The menorahs, right?
Jewish.
Yep.
And go
Sure.
next one, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a Jewish influence there that Paul initially came to, even as in Athens, which surprised me a little bit. Continue on. The menorah. And there I made it available to you to see. Actually, you have the word synagogue is not very visible. You can see the word. What we would think of as Hebrew, but you'd think about actually that H is not really a Hebrew. That's actually a Ada, and that's at the end of the word. So it's synagogue. This is a G and an A and an E, and then the E is the first portion because you wouldn't have the letter in Greek that would be written down. It starts with the second letter. That's the way it works. That's, let's say, the synagogue of the Hebrews is what that's saying.
Interesting.
Continue on. And the last thing I'm going to show you here, I think, go ahead just a couple more and I'll show you because I got an example of it better. Continue on. Romans 16:33, mentioned by Paul in the book. Continue on.
Right.
By the way, the guide was not going to show this to me initially when I first went to this.
What?
And I went down there and found one of the best things in the whole thing that I looked at.
Wow.
Just wandered off myself to do my own tour. I took the people down there. But as you can see, this is Erastus, the curator of public buildings, laid this payment at his own expense. And I'm saying this is a good lesson to teach modern politicians what they used to do. If you wanted a position in the city, you actually did special things on behalf of the city so they would make you have that position.
Wow.
What an idea today.
What a concept, yeah.
Instead of giving money to them, they give money to you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Let's continue. I think that's probably about where we are with this.
Nice view.
It's about 4 minutes after. So we will take this up again and look at the very end of it next time.
Okay. So we're at the overview of the Acro Corinth.
It's still, you're getting just other shots. And so we're going to just finish this off and we'll go to Delphi and then we're going to go up into the northern area where we have Thessalonica, Berea, and Philippi. We'll do that next time.
Nice. Sounds good.
Are we meeting next Tuesday or no?
I will be gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we are. You
It may
can.
be difficult to do that, so
We are going to have a Messianic Jewish guy from Chosen People Ministries talking about. We're kind of talking about Jesus in the New Testament, but the Jesus in the temple. And then the following week, I'm going to pick up on the discussion on the suzerain, so we can flesh that out for people a little more to understand exactly what was going on with that.
boy, we're really pushing hard to be able to get this tour going. And so we head out Thursday afternoon, and all sorts of things are going on. And
we will pray that it will be fruitful and that you'll not come back totally dead, but we'll actually get some relaxation out of it all as well.
He'll have fun. He'll have
All right, we're gonna sign off, and now we can tell stories after that. So, all you are out there, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week.
Can't get help at the airport. I don't know what I'm going to do, but here.